Hello, this is Georgie, and I will be giving an overview on the game that myself and Nikki have created. So, the idea of the game is you play as a shuriken that travels around collecting points. At the 50-second mark, and then at the 100-second mark and 50-second mark, walls will spawn, forcing the players to collide to each other, creating a strategy-like feeling where you have to attempt to either find a correct path or a better suited route to your target. Along with the with the walls getting changed, the backgrounds will also change. Hitting a wall or dying by any other cause will make you lose lives, and then each star gets a life. So overall, I was involved for beta in the generation of walls. So Nikki created the method for actually spawning walls, but I created the randomized system for summoning walls. And along with that, I worked on the animated pickup. I created the code for the sound, which is not working, but it is there and it is meant to be functioning. And I also created the fixed a lot of the issues that we were having with alpha, like whenever there is multiple players, they would spin out of control. Certain they weren't in sync, the spinning. Your shuriken would spin slowly while another one would spin a lot faster. Then, as you can see, the game is progressing onwards until the end. Okay. And I will now demonstrate some of the elements of our code. So firstly, the game is built on a UDP connection. However, it is also implementing certain TCP elements, like the handshake, where the players would join, and it would first send a connection request telling that you have joined, which would result with you getting back some information like your player ID and your name, along with we implemented a timer, so the timer runs off the server and gets sent to the client whenever they join. I will go into the timer a bit more later. And we believe that the UDP connection would be better suited for the game, as it is connectionless, so meaning that you don't need that having a constant connection. You can just continuously send packets, so if packets don't arrive, it won't freeze the game and it won't create any lag. For that, we have methods to adjust movement and create kind of pathways that would adjust to where you're meant to go in case a packet hasn't received. This also helps with the speed of how well the game performs. However, the drawback of this is reliability. UDP packets are not reliable, meaning that you are not guaranteed to receive them. So by implementing our own reliability, we created a TCP-like system where you can actually customize what packets you need that also do not prevent the game from stopping if a packet isn't getting received. So one of the connection things that I mentioned just there was the timer. The timer is a very important part of our game. A lot of things run off the timer, so whenever the timer is first sent over when you are connected, from then onwards you never need to send over the timer anymore. This limits the amount of packets that you actually have to send over. There is a small delay within the timer, 1 to 2 seconds, but usually no more than 1 second. This is for kind of taking into account that the packet needs time to be sent over and to get processed. The timer on the client side affects two things, two main things, and just the timer countdown. So the main thing it affects is the wall spawning. So this happens on the server side, and then it gets displayed on the client side. So walls spawn every 50 seconds, as you saw during the demonstration. But just before they spawn, the background also changes. This is a small warning in a way to allow the player to move out of the areas where the walls would spawn, which is just outside the center, creating just a smaller box of the screen. So yes, along with that, we have created new methods on sending over certain things like the booleans for if you have the health and shield. For alpha, this was server side, but it was implemented so late on the server side that it wasn't showing the shield, and the bomb pickups weren't presenting. But for beta, this has been fixed, and now they are presenting correctly. So along with that, all of the collision is now also based on and done through the server side where the pickups would create. So one of the other things that I mentioned was I created a system, animated pickup system. This is just using frames, and depending on the FPS, it would change depending. I set it to fairly fast, so it's just a white line running through a star. It's just to show that we can do this. We have only implemented it on the star pickup. However, it is easy enough to implement it anywhere else. Certain other things that I implemented that I mentioned was the sound. However, this is the sound code, and it is working, except there is no sound being outputted. There is no errors, and there is nothing wrong within the game. Within the code itself, it's just not outputting, and we haven't been able to figure out why that is. So our game overall supports 4 players. This is the optimal amount, as the players will spawn in each of the 4 corners. There will be an end screen at the end saying which players did the best, along with kind of giving a score to see how it goes. This is created to be a competitive game where it is a steep learning curve, where you have to be very precise with your movement, not to hit the walls, but try to get the pickups that are spawning either very close or near to the wall, along with, as I mentioned earlier, being able to navigate throughout the level with the always changing dynamic of walls being spawned. This creates a system where you have to think a lot about what you're doing, as opposed to just doing and trying to pick up the star. So the strategy is that you might want to pick up the a star or a bomb or a shield, depending on what your situation is. If your point's behind, then maybe picking up a bomb is better than actually picking up a star, as killing someone with a star will actually make them lose more than 1 point. So picking up a bomb could actually be a lot more beneficial. And that is my screencast of the game. Thank you very much.